So I'm just going to hand it off to Italio, and thanks for coming. Thanks for welcome to this second day of Flourish 2011. All right, here's Italio. What? Third day. Whoa. Thank you. There you go.
Everyone. Buongiorno for those speaking Italian. And I'm a rather unusual speaker just because you don't find a lot of Italians in open source, in international open source projects. At the moment we have Stefano Zacchiroli, who is the Debian leader, but there are not many around. So my name, pronounced correctly, is Italo Vignoli, but you are free to call me Italo as all English people are doing. It's easier for you. I'm one of the founders of the Document Foundation. Sorry for the founder of Foundation, but the words are these. And I'm the one responsible for all the marketing activities. So I'm not a developer. I understand a little bit of development. My background is in a different field. I have been doing marketing for technology companies for 30 years now. So, and I've been working for a couple of US corporations in the past. Sorry. After you say OpenOffice for 10 years, it's difficult to remember every time. And so basically, thank you everyone. This is in German, but the reason is that that is an advertising that is run on a German newspaper. And you know, our tagline, which I have on my back, is "Freedom never tasted so sweet." And I will try to explain why. So, you know, the story is that once upon a time there was the sun, a few clouds with a community, but just a few ones. But then the sun was followed by the Oracle. And the Oracle decided to give us Oracle OpenOffice. And we said, no, thanks. We don't like this name at all, because OpenOffice.org has been, the brand has been built by the community, has not been built by a company, and calling it Oracle OpenOffice, especially when you are not talking about an open product. This means that you want to hijack the brand from the community. In my opinion, it means also a couple of other things, is that you give a priority to your proprietary software in comparison to the community software. And in fact, Oracle OpenOffice was announced I think around December 20, while OpenOffice.org was announced at the end of January, so after 2 months, and after 10 release candidates. Again, I said I'm not a developer, but I strongly suspect that the 10 release candidate had something to do with losing time, because if you really, I mean, it's very difficult to release 2 months earlier a software that is basically based on the same code. And either they have released Oracle OpenOffice totally unstable, or they have found a way to release the free version 2 months after, which we actually didn't like it very much. Still, a lot of people inside the OpenOffice.org community thinks that this was just a coincidence. I'm too old to think that all coincidence just happen by coincidence. And so, you know, we don't like this Oracle. We don't like it at all. We have been thrown away from the community. I was used to be the budget approver, so the OpenOffice.org community has a budget made by donations, made by the community. And I was, together with a couple of other people, independent volunteers, I was approving that budget. And I have been fired, although you cannot fire a volunteer, by an Oracle employee who is now managing the community money. They told that I had a conflict of interest, but I wonder that probably the conflict of interest of an Oracle employee that manages community money is higher or bigger than my conflict of interest. Also because of course, I could not decide to spend the OpenOffice.org money on any other project that just because it didn't make sense. While we don't know at the moment how the community money for OpenOffice.org is managed at all. There's no transparency at all on this. A little bit of background. Just to tell you that the project, the OpenOffice.org project, of course we are talking about the OpenOffice.org project because the root of the Document Foundation and LibreOffice are inside that project. Although the project is now completely different and completely separated, unfortunately, because Oracle decided not to participate in any way to the foundation, we should remember that on July 19, 2000, so over 10 years ago, when Sun announced the free software project, the original press release was saying that in due time there would have been an independent foundation to manage the project. And after 10 years, the independent foundation was, you know, always, yes, but let's talk about it in a couple of years, let's talk about it. So even if Sun was respecting the community a lot more than Oracle, the independent foundation never came into reality. And while the community in the same time matured a lot, of course in 10 years, when you start you have just a few people, you have just a few guys, they don't know how to handle the community. And also, the world has grown in 10 years, so the free software world has grown in 10 years. So now you have a community where you have a lot of people who knows their business, who know how to manage volunteers, who know how to manage development, who know how to manage QA, who know how to manage all the stuff that goes around the software, documentation and so on. So the community, with a community maturing over time, of course it was more and more difficult to maintain a total and complete control over the project by a single company, just because you find people that are able to discuss with the company about what the company is doing. So I was, for instance, I've been discussing many times with Sun about the marketing of OpenOffice, which has been a total disaster when handled by Sun, and has been a huge success when handled by the community. If you think that the three largest markets for OpenOffice are Germany, which is logical because OpenOffice was originally a German product, France, and Italy. In those three countries, OpenOffice has more than 20% market share. And these, if you talk with people about OpenOffice, they will never say that it's a Sun or Oracle product. They would say that it's a product promoted by the local association. There are associations in these countries, and the local association is recognized as being like the software vendor. And of course, this makes increasingly difficult for a company to talk with these associations, which are quite strong. They have hundreds of members, they have a management, they have a budget, and so on. So this was the real problem, was that the community was asking independence, just because we felt that a centralized management of a product like OpenOffice was a damage or a limitation for the product itself. It is true that an Office suite, if you look at an Office suite as a developer, is not a hugely exciting product because it's the software that every people or every normal user uses every day. Is difficult, or is usually a large project, a large software. It's difficult to introduce new features. It's difficult to make it disruptive innovation. This is totally true. But you have also to think about the fact that this software, as it is used by millions of people, cannot be introducing disruptive innovation every day. Otherwise, the user would be disrupted, but not by innovation. They would be disrupted in using. So it's, of course, is a different project from other free software projects which are more innovative. You can find, you can introduce better, or let's say nicer feature, not better, but nicer feature, or they're more challenging in terms of development. But in terms of development, working on the code of LibreOffice is extremely challenging. You are working at a code that is over 12 million lines of code. You work with very senior developers. You can learn on how to work on a large software project. And this can give a developer huge amount of background in terms of development skills, because you have to package the product, you have to make it stable, you have to do automatic testing, you have to do a lot of stuff that small projects you don't usually do, not because they are not able, but because they're not working around such a large software like LibreOffice. So what happened that when it was 10 years and it was the community birthday, we decided to announce a fork. Unfortunately, we wouldn't have announced a fork if Oracle agreed to work with the community. But Oracle wants to go on his own path. They have declared, unfortunately is in German, but there is an interview of a Oracle developer that says that the community is like a burden. They don't like to have the community around because it's, yes, managing a community is a task. It's a problem. You have to answer people. You have to listen to people. You have to listen to people that ask for features. You have to explain why you are not developing a feature if you think that this is not significant. But you have to interact with the community. And if you are focusing on a proprietary product, of course the community is a burden for you. And Oracle, we know, is focusing on the proprietary product. By the way, they have also launched Oracle Cloud Office that no one knows where it is. It is on the cloud, yes, of course. The problem is that to use it, you have to pay. And I really wonder how many people are willing to pay for a product that is completely unknown, just because it's not OpenOffice, it's not on the same code base of OpenOffice, is a large Java project that was started by Sun and was made into a product by Oracle. Oracle, as you know, has declared that they want to make 40% net profit on all their software project, on all their project. But I really wonder if they're going to make 40% net profit working this way with the community and pissing off the community. So we announced LibreOffice. This is the beta release splash screen. It was September 28, 2010, so we are just over 6 months old. And it has been an exciting time. This is the group of the founders. You find developers like Kaulan, Michael Mix, Torsten, Candy up there, but you find many different people. I'm there on your right side. You have designers like Christophe. This is the gentleman responsible for the mirrors. So you have a number of people. All these guys were in a we can say in a managing position inside the OpenOffice.org community. And at the moment, the OpenOffice.org community is managed by Oracle people, which is quite an unfortunate situation, but they are not even pretending to have new elections. It's just this way. I mean, it is managed by Oracle people, full stop. And why we launched it? Because we know that there is a future for project for people that wants to make their hands dirty with the project. Of course, a project like LibreOffice and the Document Foundation, which, by the way, is not going to focus only on LibreOffice in the future. At the moment, we are focusing on one product because it makes sense to bring it forward. We want to clean the code. We want to make the code more agile. We want to make the code easier to hack for people. We want to make the code a real modern code. It is not like this at the moment.
That's something of particular interest to me. With OpenOffice, there was a bug with the borders, with writing them out in doc format. It had been mentioned several years ago, nothing has happened. I decided, okay, maybe I can get in there, figure out what the problem is, fix it. I downloaded the source code. I can't make sense of what the modules are for and what they mean. Has that been addressed?
It is, let's say, it is being addressed, but it takes some time. Of course, I invite all the people that is able. I'm not able to you know, when there was a lot of excitement around September 28th, so I downloaded the source code, I opened it and said, okay, I closed it, I said, it's better that I focus on marketing because I don't really get it at all, you know, and but for people able to understand what source code is and to people who are able to hack, I really warmly invite you to start frequenting our mailing list, to start talking with our developers, to look at the Easy Hack page. We will go over it in a few minutes, because the attitude is totally different. The attitude is completely different. You are going to be listened. You are going, of course, this doesn't mean that every single email we get an answer. But if you bring in a sensible problem, you will get an answer, you will get help, and you will probably be able to contribute to the code. It is not said that you have to fix it completely, but you may start to fix it. You may suggest how to fix it. You may be coached by someone at first that helps you to fix it.
The source code and having difficulty understanding the structure of it and so on. Large projects, especially open source projects, and I've open source and fixed a number of them. But I've looked at the source of a lot of them, and that's one of the characteristics of a lot of open source projects, is because so many people have had their fingers in it, there's a lack of focus. Refactoring something as large as OpenOffice is going, or LibreOffice, is going to be very difficult, but it's something that probably needs to be done sooner rather than later, so that you have a sustainable code base that you can move forward with and add on to and so forth.
Yeah, it's exactly what let's say, our chief engineers, we don't have chief engineers, but let's call them this way. So the guys that are working on the code, they have been working on the code for more time. So they know the code, they understand the code, they are able to navigate inside the code. What they have focused on in these first months is cleaning the code, is getting rid of there were, I don't know the real numbers, but there were hundreds of, probably thousands of comments in German. I totally respect Germans, but of course this makes the code readable only by people born in Germany or speaking German. Probably in Chicago there are a few people speaking German because it's a multi-ethnic city, but I think that a modern software project assumes that it is written in English and not in German comments. Of course, the fact that they were being written in German, some of these comments were totally useless just because no one was able to read them apart from the German guys. So even if they were useless, they were there just because no one was able to say, hey, this is useless, let's take it away. So we have a number of guys and ladies. If you look at our blog, there are interviews to developers, and there is the last one is a nice German lady, and she has focused on translating comments and getting rid of bad comments. I understand that this is not, and at the end of the day, you probably won't go to your friend and say, hey, today I got rid of 12 German comments. It's not an exciting task to tell around, but it's necessary. If we don't get rid of this, if we don't get rid of libraries which have been deprecated maybe 6 years ago but are still there, the code is bloated, the code is bigger, the code is slower. You have dependencies that you don't even know where they are just because there are deprecated libraries. So one volunteer from Texas, Norbert, is a French guy living in Texas, has got rid, and he is a professional developer in Texas. I don't know where in Texas, but he's a professional developer. He has got rid of a library that was deprecated in 2003, but was still there. And of course, to get rid of a library, you don't just erase the code, but you have to go and find all the dependencies, you have to get it cleaned around. So it's not an easy task, but you have to do that, because that had to do with the macro language. And of course, when you were developing a macro, I don't know, because I'm not able even to develop a macro, but I figured that there might be commands that are that clash with the deprecated library, even if it's been deprecated, but it's still there. So you have to get the code cleaned. Yes, it is not a totally, as I said before, a totally exciting task, but it's something that had to be done, and I come to that. And this, I think, is where the community has been very helpful. Please.
When I say that the hearing, you talk about how how the people are going through this process is heartening to us. Certainly as a principal developer of major software products, I've been there, done that, and I understand the issues involved. We had to remediate 10 million lines of code for Y2K, for example. And going through and finding all of the date dependencies and so forth was a massive job, and it required specialized tools and so on. So I can appreciate where this has to go and where it's coming from, but I'm also very heartened that people are making some real efforts apparently to resolve some of these issues.
Yeah, I mean, of course, they're working hard. Some code has already, some projects, because all the software is divided into projects. So Rider is a project, Calc is a project, Impress is a project. Each different module is a project. Some projects have already been cleaned completely. Some are still in cleaning because either they're bigger or because there was no one at first focused on that. And what we have done, I like this very much, this slide. So you know this, if you look at this, is how the OpenOffice.org project was before. There was an umbrella, and the umbrella was a company, of course. And when you are under the umbrella, sometimes if you're not if you're not Italian and mean like myself, because I had huge discussion with Sun about marketing, really. We got not close to eating each other, but very almost. But either you are like me, or you tend to, there is the umbrella, I'm protected, I'm not doing more, and if you are a volunteer, this is, of course, very easy as an attitude, because why the hell you should fight for something you're not paid for? Now, there's not anymore the umbrella, there is a mixing bowl, so everyone, and if the mixing bowl is a canoe, you have to row, otherwise the canoe doesn't progress and remains in the middle of the river. And we want to make a progress. So everyone has to contribute, everyone has to work, everyone has to make his own suggestions. Of course, if you look at the mailing list, there are suggestions which someone may find weird, but they're important anyway. They are important because this means if someone took the time to make a suggestion, it's probably important for him, and we need to understand why it is important for him. For instance, at the moment there is a discussion which is probably funny for some Latin language speaking people like me about the pronunciation of LibreOffice, because in the East is a weird name. They don't pronounce in the right way the R. Some people even told that it was going to be pronounced as LibreOffice, which is crazy. The word is from Latin, is from the closest word you can find in English is liberty. So liberty is very clear that you pronounce it with an E and not with a I. And Libra, the sign is very close to the pronunciation. But I understand that Chinese people, Japanese people find it very difficult to pronounce it. So we have to respect their needs, and we will probably provide some sound files to help them in pronouncing it in the right way. It's not useless. This means that you respect your community. And LibreOffice means that we are doing OpenOffice in the right way, if you prefer. It's vendor neutral, so there is not a single vendor that tells us or tells the community on how to do the software. Of course, this doesn't mean that everyone develops his own feature. It's a mature project. The senior developers are professional developers. They know what a useful feature is, and they know what a useless feature is. We all know this. We have been using software and working in the software environment for months, for years. So we know that. This doesn't mean, it's not anarchy. This is just liberty of going forward and listening to all the guys. For instance, it will not happen as frequently as in the past. I cannot guarantee that it's not going to happen anymore, but that suggestions about solving features or solving bugs will stay there for months or even years and not being even listened to, because they are not strategically useful for the owner of the code. Here there is not a single owner of the code, and therefore everything is strategically useful in general. Then of course sometimes might happen that a request is not answered immediately, but you know, people, we are humans, we can be wrong as any other guy. There is a large number of volunteers, there are companies behind it, and I think the biggest difference from the past is that we don't ask any contribution agreement. You don't have to sign anything, but the code you release has to be released with LGPL 3+ and MPL. This is all the new code. Of course, a large chunk of the code belongs to Oracle, and therefore that is not going to change unless Oracle, the license is not going to change unless Oracle wants to change it. Unfortunately, they have decided not to use LGPL 3+, but only LGPL 3. So they, in the future, if they want to change from LGPL 3, let's say, to LGPL 3.5 or 4, they will have to change it. It's Oracle that will have to change it. And, but we are, all the patches and all the features that have been developed by our community are already ready to be upgraded in terms of license. This is what happened in the last 6 months. We had a beta, we had a first release, and we had a second release. Of course, the first, the 3.3.1 and the 3.3.2 are mostly bug-solving releases. We have introduced the icons, the colored icons, but this is, let's say, a minor, although it's not minor, but was a minor improvement. But why bug fixing? Because the project is still young. Yes, it is true that there are 10 years of code behind us, but the fact that the code is being cleaned, of course, if you clean the code, and you know better than me, but if you change a little bit the code, even if it is for better, you might introduce some instability, you might introduce some weaknesses, because you are changing a code that is already there, have been there, and is totally stable. So cleaning the code might make it, at first, slightly more unreliable. So we had to clean some bugs that were introduced, unfortunately, by cleaning and making better. But the 3.3.1 already was quite stable. The 3.3.2, I think, is very stable. Of course, we have to consider also that this is a multi-platform product. So you have to work on Linux, you have to work on Windows, where there are probably between 92 and 95% of all the users. And also on Mac OS. This has some problems because not every feature is good for every environment. For instance, we had developed a very good graphic library for Linux that unfortunately created huge problems on Windows, so they had to exclude that on Windows just because it was crashing the product when you had a file with a graphic inside. And it was not because the library itself was bugged, but it was because Windows has its own problems, we all know that. And so it was not able to handle a good graphic library. You know, I'm not a developer, so I'm not the best person to say this, but although Windows is the most popular operating system, it is seen. I'm a user, so I see what I see what happens. I see what I use, and I have left Windows a few years ago because it was impossible. I mean, with Vista was a real pain in the ass, I think. But 7 is a little bit better. But you know, I've the colleagues in my office. They use Windows, and sometimes say, "I'm not today. I'm not printing." You know, ask the computer why. But yesterday I was printing. Okay, I mean, the problem is that this is Windows, so you don't. A day you don't share a disk, and the day after you share the same disk with the same configuration. Why? I don't know. Unfortunately, you cannot ask the disk why you are not shared today, or are you able to, do you have problem with Windows today? And but you know, it's funny, but we have to respect the fact that most users are using Windows. We all know that is because sometimes it's because of habits, sometimes it's because Microsoft has a hugely effective marketing machine, and this is happening. So I think that LibreOffice is a good idea coming true, because the project was already a good project. There were a few problems. We hope to solve them. And I think that is the most important factor for you guys especially, is that this is a project that today is a developer-friendly project. You can really work at developing the code. You can easily find tasks to be solved. You can write code. You can develop and implement ideas. You can really work around the code. It's really a hacker's project. Of course, if the more challenging the feature, the more time it will request to get the feature into the code, just because we don't want to disrupt the code and make it unusable just because there was a nice feature to put inside. So it's going to be a lot of testing and a lot of verification. But this is going to happen. If you're not a coder, you can do QA, is very important as well. Is maybe for some people it's not as challenging as developing code, but it's incredibly important. And you can contribute graphics. We need to have a brand image, we need to have logos, icons. So we have an incredibly bright Brazilian that has designed the icons, and I think is a very good achievement for a guy. He's 22 years old, so it's a very nice feature. And you can design the web. You can work at the web. You can write documentation. Of course, at the moment, documentation is mostly derived from the openoffice.org documentation. But in the future, it's going to be more and more different from that. You can work at localization. Of course, this, if you're speaking only English, is not a task for you. But LibreOffice is already available in hundreds of in slightly more than 100 languages. We already have more than 50 communities translating the software and making the software available in their own language. So that is another challenge. Or if you are really desperate, you can work at marketing. I'm the desperate one. And, but I can tell you that there is a challenge, because with a budget that is very clear, because it's zero, you have to fight guys that have a budget of close to $1 billion a year, which are, I don't know where Redmond is, but it's probably back. No, it's not next door, I know, but I usually know where Redmond is, so I always turn to Redmond when I say this, but I actually am not so familiar with Chicago geography and the direction of this room, but I usually know where Redmond is. This side you say, okay. So they tell me that Redmond is this side, so the guys there have $1 billion, and so it's really challenging if you think that with zero money, you have to find guys that have $1 billion. It's extremely challenging. And if you want to have the pleasure of work with the older and meanest guy in marketing, which is me, I would be very happy to work with you. And let's see what hackers have done. So this, I think, gives you an idea. So the red one, Oracle is yellow. So you see, of course, the day one, Oracle was almost all the code was Oracle. Look now. Of course, there is still, because these are the new contributions, so what has been introduced in the code. But it has reduced. And what is very important is the blue part. This is people that on September 28 was not a member of the community. So they started to hack on September 28, 2010, and they have contributed quite a lot. Of course, you can look at contribution in several ways. People say, Oracle says that what has been done is useless because the code was already stable. Yes, of course. If you are trying to build a proprietary product, you really don't give a damn about contribution from volunteers. If you want to write or to produce something which is a community project, you give a lot of importance to volunteers. And this, I think what is very important, there is still quite a lot from Novell, but number of engineers from Novell are the senior ones. They have been working on the code for years. So it is also very important that they still work there, because they know the code, they are familiar with the code. They know where to find features, they know where to put their hands. But they're helping, because for instance, Canonical started to contribute code. We have Red Hat, of course, and the light blue, these were the volunteers contributing code back in the OpenOffice time. So that is more or less stable, even if it has decreased a little bit, but it's, please. Christmas. Even volunteers have a family, eat turkey, and associated, sweets. We have panettone in Milano, and we have, let's say, that around Christmas. It's Christmas for everyone. And we have an easy hack page. You can find it very easily on our website. And this is only the first screen. I can show you it all. This is all the page. I think it's 11 meters long, probably. But if you go through it, if you are a developer, you can really find something challenging for you. And let's look at some of the easy hack. Removing comments which are useless, porting from Java to Python and Java to C++, remove dead code. This is, for instance, is very important because if you think that working on laptops and battery-powered machines is increasingly frequent, this is quite important. I mean, you can say, you know, why the hell I should work on improving the power management, but this is a feature. If you think that probably over 50% of your users are using it on a battery or on a battery-powered machine. So these are the, let's say, the more general, but on the page you can find a lot of inputs. You can find a lot of examples. And what is more important, if you go into our IRC channel and you ping one of the developers who are there, they will probably guide you inside the code and help you in finding the code to hack. And by the way, that page was longer because this is a list of completed hack, and it is smaller, but it's not so small. So if you look at the page and what were you asking before, there is quite a long list of completed hacks that has been they're being cleared. So this is when we say the code is cleaner, this is the visualization of the cleaner code. There are hacks which were important, have been completed, the code is set, and the code is ready to be hacked again.
And this is something Sun wasn't doing.
No, but I think, you know, the problem is if you, the main objective of Sun was never completely declared, but it was quite clear, was to make a profit out of the project, which, by the way, I think is absolutely right, because if you don't make a profit out of a project, how you can sustain a project. But the fact is that you have to find the right business model to make a profit out of a project. And if you want to make a profit selling StarOffice or selling Oracle OpenOffice, then forget about it. No one is going to buy your product because you're called Sun or Oracle. If you have to buy an office suite, you go to Redmond, you know, you try to get the best deal for you, but that is the safe choice. Why you should go to a different product? If you want to get a free software, then you have to build an ecosystem around the free software. You have to build an ecosystem where people is able to sell their services on top of the software. They have to be able to sell migration services. Petrobras in Brazil, they have migrated 90,000 desktops. 90,000 is quite many. Of course, there is a huge migration project that costs probably millions of dollars. What we will be doing, I'm working at it, but it takes a little bit of time. We will have a certification program that will help people to sell migration services, development services, support services, and they will be, if they want to be certified, we will provide certification services, so training courses, support courses, support hotlines, for them to resell their services to third parties and to make a profit, not from selling licenses, but from adding value on top of the software, which is the right business model for open source software. If you look at what Red Hat has been doing, Red Hat is making money out of selling services on top of their server operating system. Of course, pricing is going to be completely different because you supporting a desktop, an Office suite on a desktop, you cannot ask the same money you ask for supporting a server system. But the number of people using a desktop program is probably 10 times as many. Companies that want migration services will start to be many. I don't know the situation in the States, but in Italy, there is a business around it. There are companies that are making money out of selling migration services. They go to corporations and they tell them, if you have 1,000 Microsoft Office seats, we will migrate them to OpenOffice, not disrupting the system, which means your user will continue to work, to produce and to make money, while you will migrate from one system to the other one. We are migrating templates, you are migrating macros, you are migrating or building plugins for third-party software. For instance, if you invoice using SAP, you need to have a plugin that imports from SAP or exports to SAP your data to print the invoice, and so on. The examples are many. So this is where you can build an ecosystem that allows you to make money. Unfortunately, Sun and Oracle wants to sell licenses, so they're focused on developing features for the sake of being competitive with Microsoft Office, which, in my opinion, is not the right answer, because Microsoft is still a $60 billion business. Around 25 of that is done with Office. Of course, they have already the ecosystem in place. Of course, they have all the guys there. And it's going to be damn difficult to move them from their position. It's more like guerrilla than war. You have to be smart in tackling around them. So, what volunteers have done so far? This is the design team. This is Paolo. This is the guy that has designed all the icons. Of course, the design team, being the design team, has a splash screen. All the other team, not being the design team, they don't have a splash screen. But, you know, this was our booth at Scale. This is Drew Jensen, and this is Jeff Shimin from, they've staffed our booth at there. And I think that this is also important, being at exhibitions, being at events. And this is FOSDEM in Brussels. You know, FOSDEM is the largest European open source developers event. And we had quite a large attendance there. And this is Drew that has designed, it was on March 30th, he has designed a screen to celebrate Document Freedom Day. And what is an opportunity, especially for students now, We are one of the Google Summer of Code approved projects. So if you go to that page, you can find a lot of ideas. These are the ones I've put them in writing. But for instance, I will tell you what this is on application, and it's rather important, but I think here you find more important things like embedding PostScript in PDF, which has been asked by many for a lot of time. And porting, look at the first one, port on Android. And cleaning up the interface. Of course, we are not going to follow the ribbon road, which is in Redmond, but the user interface has to be cleaned a little bit. And there are also others, other stuff to add. So these are the Google Summer of Code. There are still a few days to propose your ideas, and who is going to be approved, is going to get money to work and to hack the code. And so I think it's important, and I invite you to look at the page, and if you are a student, I think it's a good opportunity for you. And a few last words. We love United States. We are not, we are European-centered at the moment, but not because we hate the United States, just because I think that unfortunately, Sun was a US corporation, and Sun has probably not helped a lot the US community. We want to help the US community. There is a US marketing mailing list where you can discuss what it should be done in the US to develop the project. We are really willing to help you, and the fact that I came here today, I think, is a demonstration, because I'm a volunteer. Of course, thank you to the university for funding my flight, but my time is funded by myself. So the fact that I spent 4 days here in Chicago, I think, is a testimonial of the fact that we want to have a strong US community for the Document Foundation and LibreOffice. You are really invited to come to our mailing lists to work with us. It's going to be exciting. It has been extremely exciting for us. I'm probably, I don't know if I'm the older here, but I'm close to be the older. If I'm not, I'm 57. So,
Yeah, you beat me.
I beat you.
Sorry.
You beat me. Okay. So I'm the second oldest in the room.
Gotta have a couple of old curmudgeons here.
58 in October.
Tell me.
Earlier in your talk, you were saying that the Document Foundation might not just focus on LibreOffice in the future. Like, what other things might you focus on?
First, of course, the Android port might be the first step towards a different or a parallel product. Of course, if you are working on a tablet, that you need, you cannot have exactly the same product for two main reasons, I think. First, tablets, even if dual cores are coming to tablets, but are the form factor and the power of the platform is not enough to run a pure Office suite. And second, the task that you are performing on a tablet are not exactly the same that you are performing when you are behind a keyboard. So that can be, I would say, a parallel product. But if we talk about the cloud, the road that Microsoft and Oracle and others have taken for the cloud is something that we don't find too exciting. They are basing their products on, let's say, a Java or similar to Java paradigm, which is probably a good solution now, but is not going to be a good solution for the future. It's too heavy. You cannot assume that everyone has 4G everywhere in his own life, because this might happen in Chicago, it's happening in Milan, but we should respect people in the country, we should respect people in less developed areas, and we always think about the whole world, or at least countries where people, where there is an infrastructure. If we think about even some countries in South America, definitely many countries in Africa, but also many parts of the United States and some areas in Europe, 4G is not available, and for some people 4G is not affordable.
A lot of tablets that are coming out now, though, I think do have the horsepower to deal with an office suite like LibreOffice. You know, you got gigahertz multi-core processors, gigabyte or more of memory. You've got you know, flash data of 16 gigabytes or more. You're really talking about a full-fledged computer in a very small form factor. So you know, at least for those kinds of systems, I can certainly think that something like LibreOffice would have in place.
Yeah, but
it's the entire suite.
the code has to be linear.
Yeah, I won't disagree with that, but I'm just saying that that's not an unreasonable target.
No. It's totally reasonable, but you have to have a more agile code. And for instance,
Benefit everybody.
yes, yeah. Please.
Do you have any discussion with IBM on the Symphony, broad line protocol?
IBM, you know, IBM has at the moment they have a contract with Oracle for taking up the code and making a proprietary product out of it, because Symfony is a proprietary product, it's not a free software. So I cannot comment on IBM on their contract with Oracle. We would like, of course, to have the IBM within our supporters, but you know, when you talk about a company like Oracle, you never know what there is behind contracts, unfortunately. And so that can make things a little bit more difficult. And, you know, I think that if everyone helps, these icons, which I find really neat and nice, we will have our, you know, this is, we have our paper plane. Our paper plane will really fly over. And I've already got some questions, but I'm open to answer everything now.
How about the Google Docs situation, the recent, you know, the way that you can simultaneously update on Google Docs? Any thought about porting that kind of feature into the future LibreOffice type solution? Is the architecture, do you know?
Collaborative editing.
Do you think the architecture that you have now would be able to fit the Java type architecture?
At the moment, the integration with Google Docs is done by extensions. So you can save to Google Docs and import from Google Docs your documents. Of course, collaboration is another area that developers are thinking about. Again, if everything has to be based on Java as it was in the past, this is probably not the road we are going to take, because it's too demanding on platforms. It is true that platforms are becoming more powerful, and every platform is becoming more powerful, but if old software vendors, let's say, even if we are not a software vendor, but all software vendors and software communities make software which are 3 or 4 times are more demanding, then the situation is not going to change, because in front of a more powerful platform, you have more demanding software. So I think that we have to find more intelligent ways to deal with more powerful platforms. The adding power requests, in our opinion, is not the right solution. At the end, it might be the only solution, and if it is the only solution, of course, it's going to be the solution. But if you don't think about something different, then, because that is the more natural and, let's say, more logic solution to go. You just add more features, and the software asks for more RAMs, for more disk access, and so on. But if you don't think in a different way, then the fact that we have more powerful platforms doesn't mean anything, because the more powerful platform is going to have a huge amount of swap into this, because even 8 gigabytes of RAM are not going to be enough, which is a real pity. So I think that the solution to collaboration is definitely going to be some in the future. Google Docs is an interesting solution, but we still see a lot of requests from users wanting to have their software on their machine. And so collaboration is probably in between, in having everything in the cloud and everything on your machine, is probably a way of being able to read the document and do some basic editing online, but the bulk of editing done offline. It's not very, in Milan I have a very good connection at home and a very good connection in the office. We have fast 3G connection almost everywhere in Italy, but even if we have with a very fast 3G connection, sometimes accessing services online is really slow. So I don't think it is true that we are that the speed is increasing, but unfortunately the number of users is increasing more than the speed. So 2 years ago, I had a better bandwidth, 3G bandwidth in Italy than today, simply because the number of users has increased. And yes, we will have LTE networks, we will have whatever but when you will have 300 million Americans connected and we will have 50 million Italians connected, always on, I think that the network will not be as dependable as it is, or it will be as dependable as it is today. So the declaration like everything is in the cloud, our marketing slogans, and even if I'm a marketeer, I hate these marketing slogans that try to tell the wrong message to users. I will provide the presentation to the organizer, so if you want to, it will be put somewhere on the website. And that's all. Thank you.